Good morning, everyone. I'm Kennedy Sanchik, and I'm going to be presenting to you the applications of the 3D Experience platform. And this presentation will be in two parts. The first part, which I'm going to be presenting, will cover more on the fundamentals and how the platform is being set up, and followed by William's presentation on how you can be applied to your work processes. So my presentation will discuss around the organizational challenges that we're experiencing today, and followed by the different user profiles, the workflows, and the effects of the disruption on our submissions or deliverables or our tasks. And thirdly, we'll be talking about on how we're gonna be working on our project on the cloud, and what are the collaborative features that the 3D Experience platform can offer to us to further optimize on how we would work with our teammates outside the office. So the current challenge that we're experiencing today is that traditionally the methods that we have been accustomed with is we work with our teammates via the sharing of files or by communicating with them on our corporate emails, third-party messaging apps, local file transfer, or file storage system. And the moment we had undergone this pandemic period, the interaction between our workmates have been limited in such a way that the silos that we have been experiencing before has basically expanded, or basically limited our movement. So this tends to create these challenges of data accuracy, the syncing of version controls, the syncing of our feedbacks, of our approvals, and the reviews and submissions of our outputs to the different internal and external departments. So instead of relying on these traditional methods, the 3D Experience platform will want to ensure the business continuity by, instead of communicating one by one or one-on-one with our teammates, we intend to give everybody the accessibility and the credentials on how we can manage our project. So instead of going with or communicating within the department itself, we can communicate with our contractors, our consultants, our customers, or any internal or external departments that is involved in the project that we are working on. So basically, it gives us the confidence and security, and it makes sure that we are working on the same version of the file or the model that we are working on, or we are discussing about. And it gives us the means of communication by sharing our feedback, our comments, or our surveys within the group. And ultimately, this encourages the team collaboration, wherein we are working at a distance, but while still syncing up with our projects. So with this idea, we have a various kinds of user profiles, and I could cite 4 of them here. The platform administrator, which is the IT manager that is always involved with syncing our files and maintaining our infrastructures. The project manager, the designers, and the quality control. Now, this presentation is not just limited to these 4 key personas. William will be showcasing to you later in this presentation on how the engineers and how the planners and the approving officers can get in touch with everybody using the 3D Experience platform. So typically, on a desktop workspace scenario, we are clocking in at 7 a.m. and clocking out at 3:30 p.m. or in any 8-hour to 12-hour shift. And basically, what we start to work with is the pending tasks stored in our emails or our file directories or our file folders. And the time that's being spent on sorting out which of these are critical in our submissions is taking longer than what we have been experiencing before due to this pandemic times. And the syncing time between our workmates or the different departments that is involved in the project will basically become a challenge. And instead of going through here from clocking in and clocking out, accessing our local workspace, we intend to do the syncing or the collaboration through the 3D Experience platform by just simply logging into the platform, and anything that's being assigned to us and any project that we are involved to will be synced up with our login credentials, and we will be automatically be informed on what's the progress and the updates, or what are the remaining deliverables or tasks that is pending or overdue. And we can see it basically on a single space, on a workspace that everybody can see. So what we have here is the very familiar 3D Experience Compass. This actually is the main, what we call the menu bar, or the main basket wherein we can add our different brand applications or our different tools that we can work with. So we have here the social and collaborative apps where we can work with the different departments, the information intelligence apps that gives us the leverage on the generation of charts and KPIs and the performance monitoring. The 3D modeling apps were in, which are very familiar to us, the CATIA, the SolidWorks, and the different CAD tools that we are using. And lastly is the simulation applications that gives us the leverage on how to generate the analysis and see the simulation of the strength of materials or the effects of this component from the other components that was generated from our 3D modeling applications. So in a nutshell, the 3D Experience platform core capabilities are these three. So it enables the social collaboration between the departments and the other stakeholders, such as the contractors, the consultants, our subsidiaries. Secondly is the strength of the platform in terms of data and file management, wherein whenever the file is being uploaded or being stored into the platform, it's gonna be automatically indexed, and from after being indexed, the file can be searched by whoever has the access of that workspace. And once indexed and can be searched, you can basically share it with your workmates via the 3D space wherein they are a part of, and you can basically view it via the 3D Play application. And lastly is the personal and organizational management. This is one of the major strengths of the platform, wherein once you can manage all the users to be integrated into the platform, they can create their own personal dashboards wherein they can manage their own pages, what we call the tabs, and embed their widgets that's relevant to the different projects that they are working on. So William is going to be showcasing to you these three strengths of the platform later. So whenever we tend to take our workspace on the cloud, we mean by accessing it by just not in through the desktop or our workspace. We can be the next question would be how secured our files will be, or how secured is our credentials. So the 3D Experience platform has its so-called 3D passport, wherein it manages the login credentials of all the users that is part of the organization. So it's not just limited to the employees or the department team that's working on the project. So the first line of defense is the two-phase authentication, wherein instead of just giving you the username and password, it also asks you the option of downloading or verifying your credentials via a third-party one-time password generation application. So what it does is that it sends a specific code similar to what the banks have been implementing now, that it sends this 6-digit or alphanumeric codes to your registered mobile number. And once verified, you can then proceed to logging in or accessing your workspace. And secondly is that the 3D Experience platform is ISO 9001 certified in terms of the known vulnerabilities of the top 10 threats for cloud-based solutions. So what it means is that all the DS R&D developers and the testers are well trained and qualified in terms of conducting the penetration tests and the correction of vulnerabilities. So basically, it maintains the security and the syncing up of files and the accessibility of the tenants from the servers. So in a nutshell, you need to have an access into the platform by acquiring these two configurations. The first one is the core role. It the core role basically gives the user the accessibility on how he can manage his files, how he can view the models, how he can search the files inside the platform, or how he can communicate with the other users through the messaging app or through the users group. Next is the collaborative role, wherein this is more of a project-based role, wherein all these stakeholders, all the departments, internal and external, will be integrated into one page, and each of these submissions or each of these reports is going to be indexed and is going to be part of a route management, wherein once you send out this certain type of model, everybody can basically review and approve your submitted output. So this is more of a project-based scenario, and this is more of a user-based scenario. And it is a recommended package wherein these two configurations must go hand in hand. And once you have these two configurations, you can then go with the additional applications that is essential to your project. So we can have the Innovia project management applications via the Innovia roles, the modeling tools that we have been familiar of for the CATIA and the SolidWorks, and the simulation and the manufacturing tools that may be applied to our processes via the Simulia roles and the Delmia roles. So you can't access this one if you don't have this two core role package. Now, since the 3D Experience platform is cloud-based, what you basically need is that you only need your login credentials, an internet connection, and your mobile device. So once you receive the first email, the invitation email from your IT manager, you can then register your user credentials and your mobile device for the two-factor authentication. And once you log in, anything that's been assigned to you from the roles or the tools that you need will be suggested to be installed or will be updated into your workspace or workstation. And from there, you can then start working with your project. So you don't need the installation or the construction of your IT infrastructure. You don't need the installation of your local area networks. You just need your mobile device or your or your laptop or your workstation and an internet connection. So this is what you can see from the different interfaces. The left side is the desktop view, and the right side is the mobile device view. Now, the 3D Experience platform is a dynamic-based browser interface wherein it will automatically adjust on how you orient your screen. So it does not affect the tools or the functionalities that you have been familiar of accessing via the desktop whenever you're using your mobile application or your mobile device. Now, in terms of the interface, this is what the 3D Experience platform will look like. These are the applications that I have discussed earlier and how it will appear on the dashboard that you are trying to personalize. So you can see, you can maybe showcase your models here. You can create your timeline. You can create your collaborative tasks and assign them to your teammates. And you can basically involve or include the pages of your customer requirements, your KPIs, and your pending tasks in one whole page. So it can be personalized via the dashboard tabs, and it can be used via a simple drag and drop of the widget, as you can see here in the left panel. Now, everything that you can see in this page is gonna be demonstrated by William, and I think I'm gonna be turning it over to him for a further demonstration.
Okay, so if anyone has any questions, please feel free to write them down so we can address them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Hello, everyone. This is William Du. I'm an industry process consultant from Dassault Systems, and I'm here to present to you a live demonstration of the platform of what Ken has been mentioning. So what you see in the screen right now is my presentation that is actually loaded on the platform. So I am using just the browser. This is Google Chrome, and I'm going to show you before we go to the scenario that we're going to do to simulate your work environment. I need to describe to you some platform basic. So we're talking about dashboard and widgets. So the dashboard that we're talking about is basically a collection of widgets and tabs. So what you see on the top is the name of my dashboard, and I can load or have several dashboards by clicking this 3-bar or dashboard list icon. And you will see that I have on my favorite, I have 4 dashboards, and I have lots of others. You could have as much as you want. Now for this scenario, I will be showcasing you several dashboards that I have loaded in different tabs of the browser. So just for the convenience. So you will see whenever I switch to a dashboard or a screen, you will see the role in here. So for example, this is a team dashboard, this is a design manager dashboard, and this is a design engineer dashboard. Okay, so that's how the dashboard work. And then one dashboard can have several tabs in it, very similar to the browser and how the browser works. Now we go to roles and apps. So the roles and apps in the 3D Experience platform is all residing on this compass, what we call a compass. Once you open it, it will load your roles of the company. So how we package how we package the apps, it depends on your role in the company. You may be a manager, you may be a design engineer, you may be a simulation expert, and for each role you will have your own set of apps. So if I open, let's say, a change manager role, there will be one app for you. If you go for a let's say a drafting role, or what we call a 3D master role, you have several apps for you. So so that is basically how we package the apps, and you can have your favorite apps pinned on your top. So in this demonstration, I have actually pinned the common apps that I'll be using. So we have the 3D drive. So there are apps that are what we call widgets, which means you can drag onto the web interface. So that's designated by the little arrow on the top. So if it's like that, then it's a web base. But however, there are some heavy apps, just like CATIA or Simulia, that will, when you click, it will run CATIA or the application, or in a rich client in the background. There are also what we call connectors, and that's the same with what you see here, like CATIA V5 SolidWorks, which will actually open the file that you selected in your screen. For example, you have a a mechanical part in your web, in your widget. When you click this, it will open up it in CATIA V5. And we can have several connectors. We have connectors for AutoCAD, Inventor, and Siemens, just to mention a few. Okay. So we have a lot of apps, but we're going to focus now on the scenario. Okay, so that's about the roles and apps. And just to give a little bit of scenario on how we use this, I have a small bit video here on how you create your own dashboard. Okay, so basically you simply open your Compass and you start dragging, let's say in this case, a web page viewer and a media link, what we call a media link. So it's just basically you can show medias or pictures, and you can link hyperlinks on it, that when you click it, it comes out. So in this case, to start with, I'm just going to post let's say some images from the government health department, just to give, let's say, a banner reminding them, let's say, my employees of how to take care of themselves. And you can have, and this type of media link, you can actually load a few, so it becomes like a banner. So you can save space by just clicking on the left and right arrow. You can flip on the images. The next example is you could load, let's say, a YouTube video. It could be a training video. It could be an event that you want to showcase. So it's going to be red. And this example, I'm just going to create, let's say, a link to a website, and I'm using this image to become like a button. Okay. I'm copying the hyperlink and then putting it there. So I have a media link there that when I click, it goes to that page. And finally, I can add more links on the bottom. This case, I want to link let's say, a PDF that is hosted on the web, or it could be hosted in your on your shared drives. And I'm just copying the same way the image that I want to click. So I'm testing it. I click it, and it goes to the PDF file. And then I can add one last thing. It could be a simple image that when you load your dashboard, it's automatically a message that the person wants to see. And finally, of course, you can have an interactive web page. Here we have a marketing web page that I can load, and it will load it as a mini browser inside. So that's basically how you create a dashboard, and you can customize it any way you want. Okay. So now we go to the file base versus database. So the way we store data into the platform are two ways. One is what we call file base, which most of you will be most familiar with, and the other one is a database. So I have a tab here that I'm opening, and it shows you two widgets or windows on how we store the data. So one is called a 3D drive. This is very similar to what you know, like a OneDrive, a Dropbox. That the files are hosted locally, but it can be shared between your colleagues. The other one, the way we store the data in the platform collaboratively is what we call a 3D space, or a collaborative space, wherein we can define virtual spaces depending on your access. So there could be a virtual space where you can read only. There's a virtual space that you can have access only. And I can show you a very simple difference between the two. So I'm going to I'm going to filter my window with just the PDF, and I have two identical files, PDF files here. I'm selecting it and checking the information, and you will see that even though it's a identical file, in the 3D drive or in the local base, it has basic information. Most of them are very common that in a file manager. However, if you save it on the dashboard, it starts to have more information or metadata, and we start tracking its life cycle. And this is how we manage all the documents inside collaborative space, whether it's a document, a drawing, or a CAD file. This is the advantage. This is how we start filtering out the granularity of the data. So if we can access the data efficiently, if we need the metadata only, then we can access that quickly. If we need a visual, then that's the time we load heavier information. So the question now maybe in your mind would be, how do I load a data in platform? So it's very simple. You could simply add the content directly, or you can drag. In the collaborative space, you can do the same. And if you're using let's say CATIA or third-party apps, you can basically load it. That will be shown in this video. So in here, I'm opening the connector of CATIA V5 in the platform, and it will open a CATIA V5 application in the background. So this could be the same if you have SolidWorks or NX. It will load the third party in the background, and I am going to open a. So in here, I'm just double checking that I'm connected to a collaborative space. And I'm now going to open the files that I wanted to load into the platform. So I have a large assembly here. By the way, this scenario I did it here in Manila and at home. So it gives you a good understanding of what's the performance of loading data into the platform. So you can see I made it for the sake of time. I made it fast, but I'm putting information here of how is it running in the real time. So in here, this is very straightforward. If for you CATIA V5 files, you understand how much to load a 672 MB file in the platform. So that's generally the same way as you are the same performance that you'll be working, because it's local. And now I'm going to show you that I'm going to save it on the platform. So it's basically saying save on the platform. It shows me information on what to save and what not to save, or if I need to filter it, and some information that maybe the files are not being seen in locally. And automatically it will create a metadata. It will transfer the files, and it shows here 509 objects being saved in the platform, which is total of 4 minutes. This is about 675 in a file size context, but in the platform we're talking about objects. Okay, so that's how you basically save in the platform. So coming back here to our scenario. Now, the next thing that I want to discuss is the actual scenario, or show you an actual scenario I recommended, or actual scenario that you could do, which is basically getting a requirement from a customer. So I'm talking about two types. In this very simple scenario, I'm going to talk about just two types of persona. One is a design manager, which is taking a customer requirement and communicating that, or creating materials to communicate that with a design engineer, and then he's going to assign that task to the design engineer, and the design engineer is going to take it, review the task, do some modification, and then submit it for review. So very simple task, and I'm going to show you this. So so before I show you that, by the way, I'll give you a tour on what are the dashboard that will be shown, or what you could the several dashboard that you could use in your company, for example. So when you come to a physically in your company, there is a sense of identity that you are inside the company. And if you're working from home, it doesn't mean it will be that shouldn't exist. So we recommend that when you do this, you have a company dashboard that you have. So I have a company here, company dashboard here, and of course within the company you have your own team, wherein you can put your social tab where you can communicate together, and of course you have your own personal dashboard as well that you can accumulate. You know, if you're for me, I like watching tutorials. You could put some event videos there, or you could put some personal pictures. It could be your pet, your family, things like that. For the design manager dashboard, so we have the I segregated like a external communication. This could be a community that I'm communicating from outside, maybe a customer or a different department, and a dashboard where I can put manage all the tasks between the engineers. So I have a project planning widget here, and maybe a accumulation of all the things that I'm reviewing, or maybe things that I'm trying to monitor that the engineers are doing. And bear in mind that this is a information that is directly from the database. So that means if my engineer does any update in here, I will automatically see it once I load this board. So that's great. That's live. So it could be anything. It could be a user manual that I'm studying, or a customer drawing that I'm looking at. And finally, the design engineer dashboard. So I'm taking tasks from my manager. I want to have a view on how much tasks do I need to do, and how much tasks I have done. A little bit of my pride board, I would say, of the things that I've finished, and that's going to be in the scenario. So I'm going to play. I'm going to play this scenario by showing it in a video. Please watch. Okay, so in this scenario, I'm in a design manager dashboard, and I'm opening up a post of a customer telling me that I need to make some changes in the part. And from here, I go to my project planning app and start to create tasks, very much like a project planning application. However, as soon as I create task here and assign it to somebody, this will automatically be posted on those people's individuals task. So I can set a basic planning here on how much time each task is going to be done. I have a full visibility on when it's going to be finished. And now I'm going to check on the part, or the assembly where the part that I need to modify is in context. I've opened it up in a product structure widget, and I'm viewing the whole assembly. So from here, I'm going to search the part that I need to modify. So it's basically that bracket. I'm focusing on it, and I'm going to open it in another app, which is what we call just a 3D Play app. And I would like to view it and review on how I'm going to communicate it with my engineer. From this point, I'm going to convert it into a markup widget, wherein I can start putting notes or annotations that I can communicate with my engineer. So this is something that you could directly write on the 3D, create some measurements, reference measurements. So in here, I'm started to create a what we call a markup document, wherein there are frames, and I can create several frames to flip on, so it's very clear to the engineer what I am referring to. So I'm saying that from this thickness, please, this is the thickness that we're talking about, and I want to change it to a certain dimension or in a certain direction. Okay, I'm saying here just add 10 millimeters to this side, and I'm going to update the frame. And then I'm going to create another one. In this case, the customer wants me to increase the space in between the flange and the ribs. So it's add 2 millimeters from this side, and I'm viewing it in a presentation mode. So just to check that everything is in place. Now I'm going to drag this markup into the task itself together with the part, so that when it's assigned to the engineer, he can see both parts and the markup. And I'm assigning task and completing some task in the project planning app. Now we're switching to the design engineer. You can see on the top portion here, I received the task from my manager, and I view the markup that is attached together with that task, and I'm trying to understand what will be my submission for this task. So he wants me to change that the rib by 2 millimeter and increase the thickness. So now from here, I'm going to open it from the platform. I'm going to open the part directly from the platform to the CATIA. So right now I'm opening the 3D experience, the V6 CATIA. But you could, if you are a V5 user, you can open it directly from here, or a SolidWorks user. Okay, so you will notice that in here, this is actually a CATIA V5 part, and it shows in the icon on the top that I cannot modify it, or I should not modify it because it's locked. So I'm going to respect that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another assembly, and I'm going to put that V5 part, and together in this assembly I'm going to create another part and extract the part body to that V6 part, so that I can start modifying it. Now you will notice that this is what we call a dumb solid. It could be an STL, STP, which is very common with if a supplier or a customer gives to you. So the challenge now is how to modify it. So if I can speak for my, as a design engineer, usually we reverse engineer this first before we do anything, or we do patch job. But in here, I'm opening it up in a special app, what we call Natural Shape, which is just automatically recognizing the feature. I could simply select a surface and drag it, and you will notice that even the radius and the corners are being kept, because it knows that it's a radius while I'm dragging it. In this case, I'm going to move the surface also, and even the radius are being preserved on the corners while I'm doing that. So it's very quick. It's with just a few clicks, I'm done with my modification. So now I'm just going to rename this and save this back to the platform. So okay, so I press save, and now I'm back in I'm going to go back to my dashboard, and I'm going to say that this part is completed now by attaching the submission or deliverables that I did. So in this case, it's bracket B, and I'm going to drag and attach it there and save it. I'm going to mark it complete, of course, and I'm going to move it to my completed task, and go to my next task. So I'm back now with the design manager, and the design manager noticed that everything is complete. So he takes out the assembly that I made and is reviewing, comparing the old one, the original V5, as compared to the new one. He can view it any way he wants and measure it to verify that all the changes is correct. And you notice here that he even sees it as complete, so he doesn't have to do anything. He just needs to make sure that it's complete. It's going to flag if it's not complete, but it has a deadline date. So that's basically how the working on the platform works. You don't need to. There's an invisible governance happening. Everything is up to date. You're working with the single source of data, and you notice that I never left the platform for any kind of other job, even with checking drawings or checking messages or other information. So with that, I hope you enjoyed the demonstration, and I'm giving it back to Paulo.